can feel it in the air tonight. Oh, baby. I just quoted Phil Collins, and I don't even like Phil Collins. So that's very disappointing.
You're starting off on the wrong foot there, buddy. That's my fave.
You're right. You're right. What's up, you beautiful people? At first, there were 8, and now there are 4. And not the same 4 we thought they'd be, because it's totally different people than last week. So we'll get into that. But I'm Gary Horde, and this is the NWA, the podcast celebrating the past, present, future, history, legacy, and tradition of the greatest pro wrestling entity of all time. We're talking about the National Wrestling Alliance. And of course, this is our UWN Prime Time live after show. We want to say thank you to everyone joining us. And especially, I want to thank my partners in crime. Hey, it's Will.Daily, Will Martin. There he is. And also, not boxing, but looking like a boxer, Mr. America himself right there, the doctor, Robert Stinson. Hello, Doc.
Pop said the weasel because the weasel said pop.
That's not how it goes.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And not everything are as they go, such as tournaments.
That's true.
Yes, which we found out tonight.
It melted my brain seeing all that today. That's why I'm dressed like Rob Stinson right now. Just trying to go for that. But I'm gonna stop.
Trend, man. It's a trend.
Yeah. Who could blame me? It's a good-looking man right there, that Dr. Stinson.
My man.
Oh, all right. Well, welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And if you tuned into UWN Primetime Live, which I hope you did, or you're just here to see what happened, apparently, I mean, I think we can only speculate at this point, but we did hear from our buddy Jake how that COVID at least hit one person, and something happened here. I missed the very beginning, so I don't think that Todd let us know specifically what went on, but the tournament was forced to change this week. And, unfortunately, it was we're missing Watts. We're missing Carl Fredericks, Davey Boy Smith Jr. It just all switched around on us. So a lot of new people added into the match. We basically started off with Ken only saying alternates have been put into place, and we're going to find out those as we go along. How are you guys feeling, though? I guess we'll start off that way. Let me be nice and just greet you appropriately.
Greetings. I was very disappointed, to be honest. I mean, there was a lot of big names that I was excited about seeing that disappeared, and that's no shade on the people that we did see. Rocky Romero, that was incredible. All those guys. I mean, this is not obviously something that was ideal. We don't have the whole story of why, things switched around, but I can pretty much guarantee you it wasn't Marquez just saying, "Oh, let's change it up." I'm sure there were circumstances beyond their control. And but yeah, I mean, it was disappointing. I mean, I was super stoked about seeing Watts and Eric Redbeard, and obviously that didn't happen. And I wouldn't say our brackets are busted. I think we're still on track for the finals that we're all kind of calling for, which is Mike Biddet and Chris Dickinson. So it is what it is, and we got some good matches, and but yeah, overall I was disappointed.
Well, the nature of pro wrestling is card subject to change. All right, that's how it is in every promotion, and we do have circumstances. We're living in unprecedented times. Dave Marquez had his bracket set up. Things happen, whatever. But the bottom line is this, man. To win a tournament, you've got to go through a gauntlet of the world's best athletes, and they did that tonight. Now, if Eric Watts and Davey Boy Smith Jr. and Carl Fredericks want to win the title, ultimately they either got to win the tournament or they got to beat the title holder. You still got a lot of legitimate guys in there. You still got, like you said, Will, you still got our top 2 guys in the thing, man. You got the Dirty Daddy in there, and you got Mike Biddet. We all picked those 2 to be in the final. So our tournaments are still intact. You still got, I mean, you got Sean Davari, man. He's a world-class opponent, man. You still got Fred Rosser still in this thing, man. You still got a world-class championship tournament in here, even though this is not a world title. It's a world heavyweight title.
Got him.
It's not a world heavyweight title. You still have a tournament of world-class proportions, even with these contenders. And Eric Watts and Davey Boy Smith Jr., if they want to stake a claim at this, they're just going to have to go at it another way, and that is they're going to have to beat the ultimate winner of this tournament, which will be, mark my words, Mike Bennett.
Ooh, Rob firing on all cylinders today and making the hot predictions. Also, speaking of world class, I just want to get this in now just because I think it's kind of fun. If you're looking for a world class ball shaver, we know how to hook you up. You can just head on over to manscaped.com and use the promo code NWAPod, and you get 20% off and free shipping. So check them out. Manscaped.com makes a great Christmas gift for your dad or somebody who, you know, has some places they need trimming up. These guys work hard to make it. It's just precision tools for your family jewels. No nicks or cuts unless you're Rob Stinson. He's a doctor, but not that kind of doctor.
Let me add a caveat to that, man. And say they did their 25 with how many years of action research, but I have I'm like Southern German, like Cherokee, Mediterranean mix. My hair is extra coarse, so I can't blame them that the 2.0 left me scarred up. Let me just show you.
Let's go ahead and get Rob off the
But what I'm told is that
you made him bigger.
I'm told that the 3.0 ironed out all them kinks. And now, if since I got the hand-me-down 2.0, maybe Will can send me the hand-me-down 3.0 because he's about to get the 4.0. I'll try the 3.0 out, and but I'm told it's a good one. Will has sent me photos. He's sent me analysis and all this, and telling me that the 3.0 is above board. That it's the best intimate trimmer and groomer out there on the market today.
Yeah, if you go looking right now, I mean, the big deal is that 3.0. It's got the LED flashlight on it. It is you can see anywhere. I mean, it helps you stumble through the bathroom, or if you're trying to be like all sneaky, like when you're doing it, so you don't want your lady or your dude know, like you don't want anybody to know about it. You just like you trim it up in the middle of the night, like after midnight. That's preferably. I do it at 2, and you got the LED light.
It's got internet access too, don't it?
Yeah, I think so.
It's got Wi-Fi, yeah.
You do it at 3 a.m. It's the witching hour. You go for it, and it's got a quiet stroke technology, and so it's silent and just precision. It's unbeatable. That's manscaped.com, people. We're not going to talk about this all night because we do have a show to do, but use the code NWAPod. You get 20% off and free shipping. So go do that. All right. So that out of the way, the show started off today with Todd Kinley announcing those replacements. Like I said, Leo Rush interrupts him, and it's good to see Leo Rush coming back. He says he wants to see who's stepping up to the plate tonight. He's hoping they don't strike out because he's here for that W, and he's here to make money. This is the place to do it. Leo heads to the ring, and we find out he's going to take on Fidel Bravo. I think some UWN fans are probably familiar with Fidel Bravo, but I personally am not. But this was a lot of great cruiserweight action, I thought. Good way to start it off, get things pumped up. My big notes here were Leo's fast, man, and he is just dropping kicks from all over the place. But long story short, hits that final 4 frog splash at the end of the match. 1, 2, 3. Leo Rush, winner. How are you guys feeling about Leo Rush's debut on UWN Prime Time Live?
I like Leo Rush, man. I mean, I know him from the rap song "Cynic Lullaby." We all know Leo Rush is also a rap artist. Me, being the eclectic that I am. We've seen Leo Rush everywhere. We've seen him in WWE. I think Bobby Lashley managed Bobby Lashley. He did some in-ring work in Ring of Honor and some other promotions. We've all known that he was always talented. I think we always knew that he wanted to do in-ring work, and he is a legit talent. He's freaking fast. Like Gary said, he's dexterous. He can move real quick, and this was for me, this match was a mathematical equation. I knew that it was a foregone conclusion, and I look forward to seeing a lot of good things from him.
Yeah, it's good to see him. I say it a lot, but it's good to see a lot of those guys that were released by WWE bouncing back, especially the ones that are, we're getting to see on UWN or places like that. So he's extraordinary on the mic, but you guys nailed it. He is phenomenal in the ring. And so it was great to see him back in the ring. Great to see him, making his mark, getting himself over, which is ultimately what these guys want to do. And yeah, he's accomplished since before WWE. WWE just gave him some more exposure, and it's unfortunate, obviously, that it didn't work out. But glad that we're getting to see him on Primetime Live. Hope to see more of him. I can see a lot of matches. I mean, God, there's Twitter beef between him and our buddy Danny Limelight, and so that's a match that and they even mentioned that on commentary. So you got to believe that's a match that is on the horizon somewhere. Hopefully sooner rather than later, because I'd love to see those two tangle in the ring. Man,
I think that match would be pretty damn incredible, seeing those two go head to head, just them lock it up and just. I don't know if Thunder Studios is ready for Danny Limelight versus Leo Rush. They'd be flying off everything.
Yeah.
All right, well, moving on. So Leo Rush gets that win, and then we find out we're with James Kincaid, Blake Troop, and Todd Kenley on the call, and they let us know that the whole tournament bracket has changed. They didn't come right out and say that, but no longer is Fred Rosser over on the B side of the bracket. He's moved over to the A side of the bracket. He's taken on Eric Redbeard instead of Watts. And then it looks like, it was going to be Redbeard and Watts, just to clarify. And so now it's Redbeard versus Rosser. Obviously, Chris Dickinson's the other person on the A block. So either Rosser or Redbeard was going to move on to face him. On the B side, from New Japan Pro Wrestling, you've got Rocky Romero and Sean Daivari taking on each other in the first matchup. And then Kevin Martinson coming in to replace Davey Boy Smith Jr. Against Mike Bennett. So a big shift in what we were expecting to see. And I don't know. Like I echo Will's sentiments here. I think I was a little disappointed when I saw this. And that's no slide on these guys. It's just that we've been speculating over this tournament for a few weeks now, and now the rug's been pulled out from under us. So it is a little different, but circumstances are what they are. I guess you got to deal with the cards you're dealt. So that's
it's just call. I mean, it's more of an expectations versus reality type thing. Whereas, if this had been the tournament bracket all along, and this is what we were getting psyched for over the past 3 weeks, we probably would have been really pumped for it. But we had our minds focused, on a totally different bracket, totally different names, as you mentioned, like Davey Boy Smith Jr., Watts, and so seeing that kind of shaken up again. No shade on the guys that entered the tournament, because they're all world-class competitors as well. But it was just more of an expectation versus what we ended up getting that kind of soured it a little bit.
Yeah, and I think for me, Will, it's this, I know the name Sean Daivari and Rocky Romero, so I'm familiar with those two guys and their stars over in New Japan. So that was okay. I think the biggest shock to the system, and this is, again, no slide on this guy, because I've said I've liked Kevin Martinson before. It was interesting seeing him come in, because I think wasn't just literally last week he lost to Ray Rosas in that United Wrestling Network Heritage title match. So it's kind of weird to see him get entered into the tournament for the world title. Now he'll go on to, I've got a lot to say about that match when it comes up, but I'm just saying, I think that was the one that shocked me the most when I looked at that tournament.
Yep, for sure.
All right, so we jump into things. Hey, Rob, we'll call on you when we need you.
Hey, Rob, you're an educator. You understand. Just raise your hand. You just raise your hand if you got something.
I was just going to say, I agree with you.
Oh, okay.
Is Rob in the bottom square for everybody? Because he's in the bottom square for me, and I feel like that's the bottom square has to raise their hand to get brought up with the top level top guys. top guys here.
I'm cool with that, man.
Cool with that.
Yeah. Yeah. This is
Nailed it.
It's going great. All right. So next up, we jump right into the tournament. Eric Redbeer takes on Fred Rosser. And, right off the bat, I dig Redbeer's music. It's good to see him back. Rosser's fantastic. I've been a huge fan of seeing Rosser, honestly, like wrestling. I think he's like just got a great look and just technically just seems so sound. And I love watching him wrestle. He's fantastic, but so much power out of Redbeard. Redbeard plays that big man role so well, just dominating this matchup. And if you're Rosser, when you've got to jump like 2 feet in the air to grab a headlock, it's going to be a tough day at the office, I think. So this match goes all over the place. It's brutal. Almost ends up in a double count out at one point. Rosser starts making that comeback, though, drops a suplex on Redbeard onto the apron, rolls him inside. He hits a side suplex in there. I think he's got the win almost, but Redbeard just won't stay down, and then he gets frustrated eventually by the end of this match, and the referee's arguing with him. Redbeard thinks he has a 3 count, and it's only a 2. He starts arguing with the ref and ends up pushing the referee, and that causes a disqualification, and your winner of the match is Fred Rosser, which leads to Redbeard going on a rampage afterwards, destroying some of the set, just going crazy, chasing the ref, ends up coming back and grabbing Rosser, taking him over to the light post and tying up his arm in there and slamming a chair up against it. And it looks like he's damaged Rosser's arm pretty well, and so we're going to have to see how that plays out. He is yelling about stop being impartial. I swear to God, that's what he said to the referee, but I think that's what you're supposed to want the referee to be, but it's heat of the moment. I'm not going to ask him about it. Anyway, what'd you guys think of this match? Rob, how about you? You first.
Me?
Yeah, you, buddy.
Robert, go ahead.
I think that Eric Redbeard needs to be more disciplined. I mean, gosh, you're in a freaking tournament. The number one rule in a tournament is don't get yourself disqualified. You know what I'm saying? This is a guy who's been on the highest platforms, and this is a guy who, I didn't pick Redbeard to advance beyond Watts because I think that Watts is better fitted for prize fight wrestling than Redbeard is. But Redbeard could easily have won this match. I mean, I think that when the tournament brackets were flipped and it was Rosser versus Redbeard, suddenly I was like, well, hell, Redbeard's going to advance. And then he did the stupidest thing in the world and lost his cool and eliminated himself. So there's no respect for that. You can't, if you want a shot at the freaking title under gentleman's rules, you can't push the ref, dude. Don't push the ref. Stupid move. Rosser advances, and he should advance.
Well, to be fair, Rob, I mean, Redbeard is coming right out of the WWE, so it feels like
he's coming into prize fight wrestling, bro. So this is an intelligent man, presumably, and you gotta know, I mean, you can't push the ref in the tournament, and you can't get yourself disqualified. How do you think you're going to push the ref and advance? Maybe you didn't want to advance. I don't know, but it was just a dumb move to me. In my mind.
He wasn't thinking straight. His anger got the best of him.
I would just go in there if I was wrestling Redbeard. I mean, look, I ain't. Granted, I'm 175 pounds of chiseled stone. Granted, but if I was wrestling Redbeard now, I would know. Just piss him off, man. Piss him off and make him hit the ref, and then I advance. That's my strategy.
Well, I was going to say not so fast, Rob, but also so fast because I kind of agree with you. But so my criticism of this match is that it did, and I told you guys this in our group chat. It felt very WWE. The finish felt very WWE. How can we not have either guy look bad or weakened? Because obviously you don't want Eric Redbeard to come in. This beast of a guy and just lose clean, right? Like you said, Rob. I mean, if you're talking about logistics, you're talking about authenticity, you would just predict that he's just going to steamroll. Fred Rosser. But Fred Rosser's an incredible world-class talent, so he's got a chance. And, you know, I thought it was a good match up until the finish. The one thing I did like about how it happened, and I agree, Rob, there's no place for this in a tournament. If this had just been a one-off match and you're doing some character development, it would have been great. But I did like actually seeing, you know, personality from Eric Redbeard. I think he's been the strong, silent guy in WWE, and I think he's got a lot more to offer, and I think he's kind of itching to show that character. But you're absolutely right. The tournament is not the place to do that. You go into a tournament, if you're a prize fight wrestler, you're like, your only job is to not lose. You've got to advance. You do whatever it takes to not lose. DQ is a loss. So you should be doing everything you can not to lose the match. So yeah, I mean, you know, I think it was another scenario where I think creatively they might have been backed into a corner and had to just pull the trigger on something like this. But, you know, I'll put over commentary again. They did a great job during this match of really, you know, reminding us these guys have been tag champs in WWE before, you know, really putting them on the same level in terms of accomplishments and experience. And so that was really great. But yeah, ultimately I do agree with you, Rob.
Yeah.
As much as that pains me.
Well, we need to elevate this moment in time, and just, you know, when we do our end of year highlights package, we'll have this playing with some sweet music or something.
All the times that Will agreed with Rob, and it'll just be just that clip.
Right. All right. Well, so we can't forget that Fred Rosser does get the win because of this. What that means for him, I don't know. It looks like this is a way that he is not going to advance. And so is that going to mean that the Dirty Daddy gets a bye here? I don't know. I think Rosser's a tough cat, so he's probably going to show back up next week for his match. But it's Chris Dickens is not who you want to go in battle with not at peak condition. So that's unfortunate for him. So next up, we get Heather Monroe makes her return to UWN Prime Time Live with Halston Body, and she takes on Miranda Alizé. And I thought this was a fun match, honestly. Just vicious right off the bat. Alizé going straight for hair pulls and just like roughhouse stuff. Took Heather a while to get her bearings here, as Alizé was like just super aggressive the entire time. But Heather's got those veteran instincts. They pay off, and she takes back over, and Alizé does finally bounce back a little bit more, starts working that arm. It's a cool story in this match. Just, I mean, it's nothing super special, I guess, but it was both these women busted their tail, and I got to say props to Alizé, honestly. I saw a lot at her here. The last time I saw her, I think I was a little harder on her. But she and Heather were getting after it, man, and she seemed like she really wanted this one, and she would not let that arm go. She was just all over her, but one slip-up's all it takes when you're in the ring with a veteran like Heather Monroe, and she runs at her, gets caught in the Michinoku driver, and it's just too much. Heather Monroe takes another victory, 1, 2, 3. How'd you guys feel about this one? Will?
I thought it was great. Yeah, I was a little critical of Alizé last time we saw her, and that was just really, as we talked about before, just she was kind of a victim of, we had just come off, 3 or 4 of like the most incredible women's matches we've seen in a long time outside of Mission Pro Wrestling, and so the cards were kind of stacked against her in that regard. But I thought this was a great match. I mean, Heather Monroe is always a treat to watch, and she's super talented and really knows how to execute a great match. And I didn't really have any doubt she was going to come out on top, but getting there was pretty fun to watch. And so I really enjoyed it. I think it was really, this match was definitely on par with a lot of the women's matches that we've been able to see. And I think, Todd Kennelly mentioned it, but UWN Primetime Live has really, been a good spot to elevate some of these women and give them some really great screen time and some great matches. So this one didn't disappoint me at all.
Right. This is how close women's wrestling is right now and how good it is. I mean, you're talking about a woman, Alizé, who has faced Kimberly, defeated Kimberly. She's faced Awesome Kong. She's faced Britt Baker. And on August the 24th, 2019, at Hurricane Pro, this is a woman who defeated Ricky Starks in intergender competition. Okay? Alizé going against Heather Monroe, whose credentials are nothing to cough at or to look at askance. These are two of the best women in the world, man. And so when they announced her the other day, I was pumped for it. And this match delivered. And this is true to form for UWN Prime Time Live. They are delivering that women's wrestling better than anybody is right now. And this match did not disappoint. Heather Monroe came out with the win, and she should have. Great match, man. Maybe the match of the night for me, honestly.
Yeah, I could believe that. I could probably back that up. The only thing I would disagree on is I don't think I've ever looked at anything askance. So, just to be fair, I would never accuse me.
That was just a Hamilton quote.
Okay, is that what that was?
Front row will know.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of love for Heather Monroe in the chat, and that's the truth, man. Heather Monroe's the real deal. Like she's been making her name known on places like AEW as well, and that sort of thing. It's good to see other people getting to notice her. She's on Primetime Live a lot, and Championship Wrestling from Hollywood a lot too. She's a star, man. I dig Heather Monroe a lot. And like Wrestling with the MMA saying in the chat right now, Monroe's a main eventer and Alizé is a legit badass, and that's the truth. Yeah, like
she meant a legit Bachelor of Arts.
Yeah, I think that's probably what he meant. Just some background on Miranda Alizé.
Very educated.
Yeah, so you don't want to forget that. Anyway, so next up, we're treated to probably if that was Rob's favorite movie or match of the night, then the next favorite moment of the evening had to be next when the Aaron Stevens Foundation presented paid advertisement, and we got to see some Shakespeare from Aaron Stevens, just a true thespian delivering an acting job like only he can. And basically letting us know that the Second Enlightenment has begun next week. He's made the arrangements. It's happening. Aaron Stevens and the Question Mark are going to be taking on James Storm and Eli Drake for the NWA Tag Team Championship. So, Rob, how'd you feel at that moment? Was your heart aflutter? Did you look at the screen askance?
We look before and after, and pine for what is not. Our sincerest laughter with some pain is fraught. Our sweetest words are those that tell of saddest thought. Percy Blythe Shelley. Take it away, Will.
What happened?
I regret throwing to Rob is what happened.
I loved that this was a paid advertisement. Like that I just like that aspect of it. It's like they weren't going to give Aaron Stevens any screen time. He had to like pay for it. And that's just totally in line with him and all that. But and we didn't find out until the very end of the night that we're definitely getting this match, and it's happening next week. So man, I got really, really excited when I heard that. But everything about this promo was great. Just his use of, working in the question mark thing and the script and all that it was brilliant. I mean, we've come to expect nothing less from Aaron Stevens. So it was as expected from a professional like him.
Yeah, totally agree. So good news, more NWA action coming next week. That is something to definitely get excited about, and we'll talk more about that at the end of the show, I'm sure. The Rocky Romero-Sean Navari matchup was up next. And I got to say, I mean, for guys coming in, having to make the replacement, this is a good match, man. It was a really, really solid match. I mean, I wouldn't have expected any less, I suppose, from two veterans like Romero and Daivari. But, dude, the thing with Daivari was this time around, he's looking good, like really good. And to be honest, in one promo, his promo right before the match, he sold me on him being in the tournament. So I was actually hoping he scored the victory here. He told that story about being 20 years in the business and beat up and worn. He's got to prove he can hang, and this is what it's about for him, more so than even the belt. It's just proving that he's a guy who still belongs in the ring with the younger talent. And I mean, they did some brutal stuff here. There was that slice Rocky on the ramp, just a lot of stuff battling outside. But yeah, Daivari bounces Romero off the turnbuckle, gets the roll up in the 1, 2, 3. And Sean Daivari is going to advance on in the heavyweight championship tournament. Two guys shake hands, but this was cool. This is actually the result I wanted. I'm excited to see Daivari next week in his matchup. Rob, what do you think of this one?
Rocky Romero, New Japan talent, man, just involved in Talking Shop Mania right now with Doc Gallows and the Machine Gun Carl Anderson. Great talent, man. Nobody can. I was surprised. I was really thrilled to see him. I mean, if you want to mix up the bracket, Rocky Romero is a guy you put in there to lift spirits, and he was great. But then you're going against a guy like Sean Daivari, man. And let me just read down this guy's credentials for a minute, okay, if I may. American-made wrestling entertainment light heavyweight champion. American Wrestling Rampage No Limit champion. Big Time Wrestling Cruiserweight and United States champion. Insane Championship Wrestling Tag Team champion. Mad Asylum Pro Heavyweight champion. Mid-East Independent Association Lightweight champion. Midwest Pro Wrestling Cruiserweight champion. I can go on and on and on. In 2009, he was ranked in the top 100 wrestlers in the universe. I'm talking about in the universe, bro. This is a big deal, okay? Sean Daivari in the universe, that's even bigger than Earth. You know what I mean?
Well, and he walks right in there. Yeah, almost.
Boom.
And he walks right in there telling you how bad he wants it. That's what I loved about it. So he made you feel it like right as he walked in. So that was really cool. Will, how were you feeling about it?
Yeah, it's tough for me. I mean, Sean Daivari with the bald head and the just extremely chiseled body. Sometimes I feel like I'm looking in a mirror. So it's hard. I have to be like, oh, that's not me in the ring.
Right.
But I mean, you guys are spot on. It was he sold me on it. I mean, listing his accolades there. I mean, I had no doubt after his promo and once I saw him, start the match that he was worthy of being in this tournament. And then furthermore, worthy of winning this match. It was a great match. It was pretty brutal. They were all over the place. You could tell both guys, really wanted it and wanted to prove themselves. And it was a real treat. I mean, and that's why I say too, like flashback to what I said earlier, these matches were all really great. It's just in the back of your mind, you're thinking about what was supposed to be in that spot, But if you remove that from the equation, this match was maybe match of the night for me. I'm with you guys. I really did like the Heather Monroe match, but in terms of like just constant like engagement and a really great story being told from the back and forth to working on different parts of the body and stuff like that. This match might have been the top of the list for me.
Yeah, this would be my close second for it, I'm sure. I don't know. These two guys obviously know what they're doing in the ring, and they proved it here tonight. And so that leads us directly into Kevin Martinson versus Mike Biddet. So I started off this thing thinking, I'm glad to see Martinson's beard is still there because he got it tore off in that match with Ray Rosas, it looked like. And throughout the match, I became more and more concerned because it happened again, and I do not understand the science behind Kevin Martinson's beard. So I became really obsessed with that. It didn't completely take me out of the match, mind you. I was still paying attention. But I'm like, what is happening with Martinson's beard? It looked like by the end of the match, I could see he had a rubber band and there was like an extra segment of beard, but I don't know where that's at first. And if I could just get Kevin Martinson on the show, I would want to talk to him about his damned beard and why it always looks like somebody tore it out. And is that bothering anybody else but me? Because anyway, it just does. It drives me crazy. I just don't understand what's happening.
Is your concern, what's your main concern about that?
So one of the things about, like, I mean, in a horror movie, for example, like one of the biggest things, you know, like you could do something really gory, like get a head chopped off or like a whatever, but that the most excruciating things like you could do in a horror movie are always things like you could relate to. It's why, like, if somebody gives a paper cut in a movie, like right between the fingers, you can relate to that. That sounds terrible. In a movie, if you saw that, you'd be like, well, as a man who values my beard, just seeing someone's beard get ripped out, it bothers me every time, and it looks painful and just disturbing, and I would hate that to happen to me. But now I'm finding that I perhaps have been deceived, that maybe it's not really being ripped out. He just has a second layer of beard tucked underneath that deploys at crucial moments in a match, I guess. I don't know what's happening.
Conspiracy theory time here.
Yeah, it's just anyway, it's just an interesting thing. Let's talk about the match, though. Mike Biddet looks like $1 million. He is on fire, just killing it. And these guys, I said at the top, and I want to say it here, that despite his beard deception, Kevin Martinson, he was the one I was thinking was most suspect coming into this matchup because of his loss last week. Although it was a good match, and I've liked the guy, I just thought, does he fit here? And man, he did to me. Like, he and Mike Biddet had a great match. I thought these guys really, really went at it. Martinson gave it every single thing he had. He gave that promo up top saying that he is nobody's second, nobody's replacement. Like, he is his own man and will prove himself tonight. So I thought that was solid. And then these guys they went at it. And it took everything Biddet had, man. And just some great stuff there with the spears that came out of nowhere, or that thing where Mike Biddet was tied up in the second rope and Martinson jumped off and double stomped the back of his head. Good God. Like, that match was crazy. But of course, Martinson took a hard hit with the Death Valley driver on the apron, which screwed up his back, which played off of last week's match, which I enjoyed, that consistency was there, that continuity. And so by the time Martinson is able to lock in a sharpshooter on Mike Biddet, he can't hold it in position long enough to get Mike Biddet to tap out because his back just gives out and he has to let it go. And he has been in a couple of times, but Biddet is just too much heart. And Biddet finally gets him in the spear one last time, does the Hail Mary pile driver that he does, and Mike Biddet gets the 1, 2, 3. I think as we all deep down in our souls want to happen. And he advances on in the tournament to face Sean Davari, which I think is going to be incredible. But Will, I'm interested. How'd you feel about this one?
I thought it was great. As a main event, it's a tournament for a championship. I won't call it a world championship because Rob's in the room. Right. But it is significant. Mike Biddet has already had a killer main event. See you, Rob. He's already had a killer main event, and he just literally left. But he's a main event guy, and I thought it was a great match. I thought Kevin Martinson really proved himself. I think being in those the Heritage title match. I mean, he's a worthy opponent to be in this tournament. I really liked his pre-match promo, saying that he's nobody's backup, he's here to win it. I thought that was great for really establishing himself going into this match. And I thought they worked really well together. I thought there was some really good back and forth, a lot of, again, just like we had in Mike Bennett's last match, a lot of references back to his match with Nick Aldis, and the being in the submission, various submission moves, targeting his legs and that kind of stuff. So I like that continuity and the continuing to sell from week one, which is really cool. And but ultimately, I'm glad Mike Bennett won. I think we all called it that way, and so it's a good result, and it was a good match.
Rob.
It was a good match, man. What I want to see from Mike Bennett, and because I have very high hopes in him, and that it wasn't diminished tonight, but I really want to go see Mike Bennett dominate a match, man. And this is a guy who is in contention. He's in the NWA World's Title picture, but every time he gets in a match, man, it's like, gosh, it can go either way. And I think if you're going to get in the ring with all this, man, I want to see you decisively beat somebody like a Kevin Martinson. You know what I mean? I mean, this should not have been so close. I feel like, and no shade on Kevin Martinson, don't get me wrong, but when you're going against the Premier Championship and you took Nick Aldis to the limit, I got to see you dispense of Kevin Martinson.
I feel like that happened last time with Mike Bennett too. Like we kind of felt that same thing. Like we want to see Mike Bennett be a little dominant. He does have the cool, like he plays on, the come from behind win and that sort of thing. And he shows a lot of heart every single time. But it feels like we keep wanting like a decisive win from Mike Bennett, where we're like, this guy just dominated somebody, he outclassed him in the ring. It didn't bother me as much as it sounds like it did you as far as this goes, because like I just felt like Kevin Martinson did do a good job prepping beforehand with he's got to prove himself as well. So it felt like he was putting it all on the line here for this matchup. So I guess I bought into that. So, but I can definitely see what you're saying. I think I don't expect next week to be any different, because next week we've got Mike Bennett versus Shah Davari, and I think those two are going to just take each other to task. Like I'm super excited to see that match. Not because it looks like two Will Martins battling it out in the ring, but just because
take my shirt off.
Right, just go for it. Anyway, so just to move along so we can get to some audience stuff, I mean, that's it for the show there. So now we've seen the bracket play out, and next week it is announced. We're going to see the return of Lacey Ryan, and she's taking on Vipress. That's going to be fun. I'm excited about that one. 4 Minutes of Heat are going to be taking on the Real Money Bros. So Real Money Bros get a chance to reclaim a victory after taking that loss to the Bodega last week. And, of course, we've got Aaron Stevens in the question mark challenging Eli Drake and James Storm for the NWA tag team titles, which I'm sure is our most anticipated matchup. But then, obviously, if Fred Rosser is able to make it, he's going to take on the Dirty Daddy Chris Dickinson, where I suspect he'll be soundly dispatched. And Mike Bennett will be taking on Shah Davari to find out who's going to the finals for the UWN Heavyweight Championship. And that was the end of that show. Any other thoughts you guys have before we throw it out here to the chat room to tell us what they thought?
It's a good show.
I'm just pumped I'm pumped for Will, man, that we are finally seeing the NWA World's Tag Team Championship being brought here. This is my brother, who more than anybody that I know loves the tag team division. And he has been talking about this, like even before Prime Time Live. He's been talking about that. Hey, every time I talk about Will, what about the tag team title? What about the tag team title?
I don't sound like that. It's a little. I'm more like, it's like, hey, what about
Rocky
the tag team title?
Rocky
Will has been pushing for it, though. Just wondering why Eli Drake shows up without the tag team belt, why James Storm was on TV without the tag team belt. So it's going to be good for him to get to see the boys back in town.
Listen, man, if we get the tag team titles back, which we are, and then we get Joe Hennig in the NWA, you might just see me levitate right on up to heaven. Y'all just have to be the bearded duo after that, because I might just. Well,
I'll tell you, I think if you know anything about heaven, Will, you need a Trinity. So you ain't going nowhere without us. So here we are.
All right. Well, I'll figure all that out between now and then.
Well, I can tell you, just based on Twitter that I've seen, the NWA roster has spots available for Joe Hennig if he wants to jump on. So we've seen Allison Kay is a free agent now, if you missed that news. So, I mean, they could be looking for some people. But we can talk about that and anything else you guys want to talk about. Chat room. We got a little bit of time for you. If you guys want to shoot the breeze about UWN Prime Time Live, now is the time to do it. Let's see here. Who is Dare Lapointe? I can't believe how much better he looks than when I was a kid. Way more powerful. I see you're talking about Will Martin.
Yes, I do get better with age. Thank you.
Let's see here. Robert Biddet was really torn on this matchup, so he's a big fan of Daivari and Romero. So, that was good.
I was torn until the match got probably like 5 minutes in, and then I was like, I wanted Daivari to take it.
Sorry, I had a sneeze. Thank you. Let's see. What is this guy talking about? Craig, yes, there's a wrestler from the planet Jupiter who disagrees with that 2009 listing, Rob.
The universe. The top 100 in the universe.
Yeah. It's since the foundations of the world.
Well, and we all know that All Jupiter Pro Wrestling is a really great promotion, and they've got some great stars, but they just don't hold a candle to Sean Daivari.
Dave Scooby chiming in. Welcome, Scooby. Thanks for being here, buddy. I guess Davey Boy Smith Jr. is starting back up with MLW in 2 weeks, so I'm sure that's probably why he was taken out of the tournament. Not sure about Watson Fredericks. Yeah, I think
would that preclude him from though, because I've seen MLW stars.
Hammerstone. Hammerstone.
Who's that? Is that a wrestler?
Who? Meat Mountain.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
Sultan of Sausage.
You talking about Golden Corral?
Yeah,
they got that. They got that at Golden Corral for sure.
Hammerstone is the Golden Corral of wrestling.
We talk about the pork pimp himself.
Pass that on to him. Oh man, the beef castle, Meat Mountain, the pork pimp.
I just thought of one that I'm not gonna say. Go ahead.
Now I'm curious.
I'm talking about the Andouille astronaut himself, boy.
Yeah, I was gonna say the sausage sultan.
The sausage,
but that's different. That's something different.
Sultan of sausage, yeah.
Oh man!
Hey, thanks for wrestling with the MMA. You can find past episodes of This Is the NWA podcast on all major platforms. That's true. Except we're just at the NWA pod. We made it way simpler than that. So, but thank you. Also, make sure you hit the like button and make sure you subscribe. Make sure you go to manscaped.com and use that promo code NWA pod. And don't forget, Mission Pro Wrestling's Tournament Out of Hell is November 6th, live on the Title Match Network. Our old Dr. Rob Stetson's going to be there. Ryan Romano's going to be there. Visit our online store at nwafam.com. I'm just going through every one of these banners.
Gary has discovered how to put words on the screen and is utilizing it.
Hey, do I have that function?
Doesn't
I mean, I can give
That's
it to
all
you
right.
for how
I mean,
much is it worth to you to have that? So like
how about
200, 300?
how about an NWA sponsorship?
Ooh, tempting.
Oh,
For me personally, like a hey, it's Will.
Remember there used to be a Hey It's Will Daily Show? This joke was enthusiastic, man. He was on there every day, boy. I was like, that's
Throwback.
not going to
That was listen, that was when there was NWA news every day.
That's true. Well, to be fair, I think that I don't know. I think you were kind of coming up with stuff a lot there, so that was good. You were
Well, listen, I don't want to get into it, but a lot of things happen in the world of wrestling that kind of caused all of us to step back a little bit, and so we might see a return of it. We've been having some talks. Give you guys a little teaser. We've had some internal talks here about some future stuff that's going to be really cool, and so one of the things you might see a return of is a daily wrestling news show. So.
Rob, you should write a poem like this, like Hammerstone. He sits mightily upon a meat throne. I like it.
Let's see here. He sits in the dark. Oh, but see his happy Hammerstone face lit by the firefly.
What?
I just
that didn't do it for me.
It's a poem.
That didn't. I don't think that rhymed.
It's a haiku, man.
All right. What about me? Say that to my face, Rob. Say it to my face right behind my back.
Front row here to save the day, asking any thoughts on Thunder Rosa hinting at weekend plans. Will we see her at AEW Full Gear just one day after MPW Tournament Out of Hell? I love that his picture is also him with Thunder Rosa there. So
yeah,
wow, she's got the best litany of pictures, man. Every time we see his icon, it changes.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like. Oh, well, I'm sorry, Rob. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
My guess is yes, we will see her there. We know that she has some appearances coming up in AEW, and she is in high demand. Of course, the NWA being a meta promotion, that's no problem. They do a lot of talent sharing there. And so my guess, and I don't know this, I haven't talked to Brian Rosa or Thunder Rosa, or I haven't talked to Billy in a couple of weeks. But my guess is I had thought the same thing. I expect to see her there.
Yeah, that's what I thought from the get-go. I think when the title changed hands, my very first thought was that we'd see her at Full Gear, get it back. So there's still a possibility that'll happen. And if not, Thunder Rosa is a master of social media promotion and keeping people interested. And so we'll just have to watch and see. Maybe we'll make Gary pay for another pay-per-view.
That's right.
Could happen. Dave Scoopy says, all meat, no bone. It's Hammerstone. I love this. I love
That's nice.
Hammerstone. We need to have Hammerstone on here one day. He gets so much love here.
It would just be me and Rob just kind of sitting here like this, and you just like gushing over him the whole time.
That would be it. Let's see here. Robert Biddet wants to know predictions for the NWA tag titles next week. Other than the 10 pounds of gold, every other NWA championship has changed hands on Prime Time Live. Will we see that trend continue? Is that what's going to happen? Will, as a tag team,
we will.
Yes, we will.
Yes.
He says, okay,
yes, Robert. We will see the transition complete, and every title will have changed hands on UWN Prime Time Live.
Well, every title hasn't changed hands. The world's title hasn't changed hands, and we will not see the world tag team title change hands next week either. As much as I am a student of the arts of Mongrovian karate, and as much as I revere the question mark and Aaron Stevens, they've not tagged together in a while. You're going against two of the greatest tag team artists of all time. James Storm is the most prolific NWA World Tag Team Champion who ever lived, even more so than the Rock and Roll Express. Eli Drake has, a great pedigree and some tag team background as well. They are even having not defended the belt in these many months. The two of them together are going to be really, really hard to beat, and give Aaron Stevens and the question mark a few more tune-up matches and maybe, but it will not happen next week.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah, didn't see that coming.
Well, I think just to be fair, just so we're being honest, I mean, I think the real reason that people would assume something like this is there has been that talk about James Storm with the WWE and that whole story. So I think that makes folks' suspicions go towards the titles changing hands, but I don't know. Like, I mean, there's a part of me that's like, yeah, Aaron Stevens is thirsty for blood. He needs some more gold. But at the same time, maybe that's the easy answer, and that's not what we're going to get. Maybe Eli Drake and James Storm stay dominant in the tag team division. Well, I don't know why you look so giddy like a schoolgirl over there, but you had a very big grin on.
Because we're talking about tag team wrestling.
Oh, okay.
Like I've been like, I pine for this like you pine for Hammerstone.
Oh,
and
I see.
We're actually talking about it. So
you just had this look. You were just smiling and just happy. It's nice.
Because we haven't talked. Because
you
when
happy,
was the last?
happy, Will.
Because when was the last time we were able to make a prediction about an NWA tag team title match? Maybe never. Maybe never.
Yeah,
on this show, since I've been a part of this show.
Well, since you've been a part of this show, this is the most live like NWA haps that we've had. This is
because I joined the show right before Superpower aired.
That's right.
So I mean, this has been it for me, man, in terms of like live, following it. So I couldn't be happier about this.
Amen. Jump in with Craig S. here asking, do you guys think the NWA World Heavyweight Championship will ever be defended in New Japan again? If Bruce Tharp can arrange a deal, then I'm sure Billy Corgan and Nick Aldis can arrange something. I think they
hope so.
Yeah, I think they've tried, technically. Aldis has gone on record in a couple of interviews, I think, saying that they tried to work out something with like Liger for that ROH New Japan co-branded show at Madison Square Garden. They were trying to get something done there. So I think that at least on the NWA side, they're definitely open to things. I mean, obviously right now, anything's tough to get done. So that may still be the case for another year after this one. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I think as we move on, things are opening up. Obviously, I mean, Thunder Rosa has been bouncing in and out of AEW. I'd say anything's possible at this point where we're at.
Yeah. I mean, we know that the intent is there. I mean, the champ has told us that he wants to defend it all around the world. I don't know, NWA had a good partnership with Ring of Honor before the pandemic hit. I guess Ring of Honor doesn't have that close partnership with New Japan anymore, or do they still have that? Do you guys know?
I mean, the last I had heard, they were still okay, but yeah, I don't know.
Because there would still be kind of that indirect connection. If so,
that's a good point.
But even with Primetime Live, with the New Japan Strong guys, there's been some connection and some overlap there. So I'd love to see a partnership, at least to see that title defended in Japan would just be really cool.
And these are situations based off of personal relationships that William Patrick Corgan has with the owner of Ring of Honor and New Japan. He has those relationships. I fully expect to see there be a long and active relationship between Ring of Honor and between New Japan. Now, Impact is a little different because there is some, there's some history there that might, we don't like to talk about a lot, but it might not be all pleasant. But I think that Corgan cares enough about the NWA to get beyond that. So I would expect to see it there as well. Really, honestly, the only place I wouldn't expect to see NWA talent show up on is WWE. And just because WWE is even though we're accustomed to thinking that WWE is the norm, they are really the aberration. They are the difference, not everybody else. Everybody else is pretty much on the same page. There's no issue there with talent sharing or cross promotional stuff. I mean, we're going to see a match, the Bearded Trio, on December the 10th between Nick Aldis, our champion, against Brian Pillman Jr., who is not an NWA talent in an independent promotion. And this just, you would never see that with WWE, all right? But you're going to see that with regularity with the NWA because we are closer now to territorial wrestling than we've ever been since, 1986.
Normally I would avoid like anything political, but we are on election night. So I'm going to bring this up just because it does bring up a question I've had for Rob that I can relate back to wrestling. So I'm going to do this briefly. And just to give Al Slavinsky props, we're happy you're here, sir. He says, do you think since Biden now is president and wants to lock down all gathering over 10 people in all of the USA, do you think the indie wrestling business is done? Al, I'm going to go on a limb and say your whole thing there is a lot of speculation. Like it contains a lot of things I would not call factual right now. And
I would say that if you're watching CNN or MSNBC, you would even have to be a little hesitant because if you're watching NPR and C-SPAN, pretty much they're looking right now like this is a repeat of 2016. I've got Trump on, and all of us have our little electoral college cards. And again, I'm not tipping my hand on where I stand either way, but right now, by my estimation, I've got Trump winning Texas, Georgia, North Carolina, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Nevada, and Iowa. He doesn't even need to win Pennsylvania at this point to win the presidency. So whatever about mail-in ballots, I think we'll know tonight that probably Trump is going to be reelected, which for good or ill, and again, I'm not saying anything, but I think that, Trump has been very open about reopening the economy, trudging through this, coexisting with the virus. I think this bodes well for independent wrestling, and I hope that within the next couple of weeks we'll see the rest of the nation follow suit.
Well, the reason I wanted to get into this, actually, that I brought it up is totally just because Rob pointed me to something earlier today that I was not even aware of happened for a presidential election, and he pointed me to Vegas odds, and I had just not seen this. And for what it's worth, the one of the things I thought was just interesting about it was just that it started off like 2 days ago. It was heavily in favor. It was like 66.6% in favor of Biden winning the presidency. As we've gone on right now, as of 11:15 p.m., Vegas odds have Trump up at like 71.7% chance of securing the presidency of the United States or the World Heavyweight Championship, whatever you want to call it. But the reason I'm bringing it all up, the reason I'm asking is I'm just curious, where do they get this from? Like, how do they know? Because I also am familiar with them even doing this with like WWE pay-per-views and like all of this stuff. Like if we were going to be putting down Vegas betting odds on Aaron Stevenson versus James Storm and Eli Drake next week, like how do those odds come about?
Well, we're all nerds here. All of us are nerds, and so we can kind of dig into this a little bit. And again, nobody here is tipping their hand about who they favor. We're just talking about numbers and playing the game, playing the board game, all right? The dirty little secret is that the Trafalgar pollsters, which were the most accurate predictors in 2016, they rely on one of their predictors they rely on is Vegas voting odds, because Vegas voting odds are apolitical. These jokers don't care. They're just in there looking at metrics. They're looking at percentage of male voters, percentage of they're looking at all these different demographics, and then they're prognosticating based off of futures markets, based off of voter enthusiasm, looking at the eye test, like where's the enthusiasm at rallies. So you look at a Trump rally and you've got these thousands of crazy people, and you look at a Biden rally and you've got more Trump supporters there than there are Biden supporters. They factor all these things in and they arrive at a metric. And politicians or professional pollsters aren't trained to do that. They're very entrenched in standard formulas that go back to 1960s, 1970s, 1980s era politics. And, really George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and Donald Trump have shattered all of those paradigms. And so if you really want to get an idea of what the electorate looks like, you got to look at futures markets when you're investing in stocks, and you've got to look at voting or gambling odds, betting odds in Vegas. They know better than anybody. Just if you don't take my word for it, just run a parlay. Run a parlay. Look what Vegas says. Run your parlay, and I guarantee you every time the house will be like spot on. I've never won a parlay when I voted against the house, ever. And I've been running parlays now. What am I, 28 years old? I've been running parlays for over a dozen years, man. I've never won one when I voted against. I've won parlays when I voted with the house. Those jokers know what they're talking about. And I'm telling you tonight, right now, the futures markets and the betting odds have Donald Trump winning 280 electoral votes even. And I would say if you got money to bet on it. It's going to happen. Just looking at these returns coming in, it's going to happen.
Well. Yeah, and Darren here is pointing out, said poli-sci major here. They talk to professors based on stats and data historically, as well as adding up demographics and polls on the ground. The doctor is pretty spot on. It's a lot of bullshit math. So
thank you, Darren. He knows, man. Darren knows because he's a poli-sci major, so he knows bullcrap when he sees it, man. And the thing is, like all these pollsters, they're not up to date, man. They're going off of paradigms that are freaking 15 years old. Since George W. Bush, none of those count. All of those models are crap. I had a teacher come up to me yesterday and show me this new app that's like, hey, look at this. Look at these numbers. I'm like, they're using the same freaking models. None of that matters because they're using old models.
Well, one thing I can speak on that I have to address is Front Row says, but Meltzer said TR was supposed to appear at Halloween Havoc. And I got to say, I said something to Will about this too. This Meltzer stuff, I hate to be the guy that always feels like he's taken up for Meltzer, but I listened to that show, that Observer Radio show, and he has never said any of this crap. Like it literally, when that whole thing broke about Meltzer saying Thunder Rosa's going to AEW or WWE, and we saw it everywhere, and it was getting posted in our Discord and all over the place. Like I was like, oh man, I missed something. So I went and listened to that episode, and it was literally Dave Meltzer said, yeah, Thunder Rosa dropped the title. She has interest from WWE and AEW. They're cool with her, but I think that she's under contract for a long while. So, I don't know what the situation is there. I assume Billy and Tony still have a good relationship, but they probably don't want to use her without, he's like, Tony probably has that good relationship and wants to just, give Billy whatever he wants out of the situation to use her. But, it's going to be a bit before anything like that happens. And I was like, and it was that long too. It was like a freaking minute of conversation. And there were so many articles about it. And I was like, this is fake news. # fake news. That's all. That's all I'd like to say. Just to round this episode out. Well, you've been super quiet. I'm sorry. Did we ostracize you in this conversation?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to talk politics.
Well, I was trying not to talk politics. I was trying to talk about the Vegas betting odds and how they can know anything from WWE pay-per-views to a presidential election and on. Like, I just don't get it. Like, it's insane to me, like how these people come up with the numbers. And
well, the only thing that I like,
numbers, man, and
the only thing I like talking about less than politics is math. So it's like you guys were just doing everything you could to like put me to sleep.
Yeah. Well, I totally get that. It's just interesting to me only for the fact that it's like, where do these guys get their information? Because, they care about making money and that's what they're concerned with. And so anyway, it's just interesting. All right, guys. Well, I guess we'll probably wrap it up for today since we've already lost Will. And, no, it's front row. I wasn't, by the way, I think you know this. I wasn't calling you out about the Thunder Rosa thing. That had nothing to do with you. I just thought it was interesting, and I hadn't had a chance to really talk about it too much on the show, except this past Sunday a little. But I was also not in the best mental state last Sunday. So anyway, but today I am just watered up to the gills. That is all I've had today. Anyway, so if nobody's else got anything, Will, you want to tell people where they can find you online?
Yeah, at Hey It's Will, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, heyitswill.com on TikTok. And obviously right here, we'll be back on Sunday night talking about some wrestling.
Yep, and Rob, how would the great people find you if they want to talk to you about pollsters?
Man, the great people, don't ask me about pollsters, man. I mean, it's ask me about wrestling, man. Ask me about wrestling history. You know what I mean? That's where my passions are. You can find me everywhere since I was enlightened by my brothers Will and Gary. You can find me everywhere at one place, at This Is Dr. Stinson. I'm talking about everywhere. I'm talking about on a Snapchat. I'm talking about on TikToks. I've been putting out TikToks like a madman. I'm talking about on what's the other ones? Instagram, on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn now. I opened that junk up today, man. I'm on Farmers Only. I'm on all of them, baby.
Yeah,
I'm on Shudder.
Yeah,
Netflix.
I'm on Netflix, man.
You can find me on Netflix. This is Dr. Stinson. Password is.
Oh man, I'm at This Is Gary Horde on all of the social medias as well. The show is at the NWA Pod on every single thing you want to find it on. Yes, Craig, MySpace, Bebo, all of it. I don't even know what Bebo is. Friendster. It's
check our Zanga blog.
Yeah, we're gonna set Dr. Stinson up with a live journal, and it's gonna be fantastic. But
we're not on QAnon. We're not on QAnon, are we?
No, we are not on QAnon, and that is about as much mentioned.
That's someone else.
Yeah, that's a
You're getting us
spin-off
confused
show.
again, Rob.
All right. Well, as to leave it with wrestling with the MMA, yeah, like, share, subscribe, tell your friends if you want to talk wrestling. We are here. We love you guys. Thank you so much for everybody who hung out with us. We'll see you on Sunday to talk more about wrestling. But until then, enjoy your gravy cake.